guys, John here with Alan K, and in this video we're going to talk about some items that Alan and I often see forgotten out of people's get home bags, bug out bags. You know, not nitpicking or anything, it's just, you know, as people, you know, ask us, hey, what do you think, things like that. These are just some items that we seem to commonly not see, that, you know, we think could really help out in a time of need. So so we're just going to kind of go through them. Go ahead, you can start with your first one. We're really no order here, just kind of going through, and we'll go as we go.
I think probably the biggest thing that I see is people will carry a compass, but they won't have a map.
Yeah.
I'm like, what good is that? You know, if you don't have the data on the map to figure out where are you, where do you need to be, what's the best route selection to get there, where are things like water, where are built up areas that you might avoid, all that data is contained on a map. So really having a map with no compass is like having a car with no tires. It's kind of an incomplete picture. And in addition to a map, you know, having some pace beads is good. And I like to have two compasses. You know, I've got a standard compass here, but then I've also got this wrist compass that you can, you know, illuminate, use that at nighttime, and cross-check my compasses, make sure that they're accurate, because like anything, they can break or become damaged.
Yeah.
You know, so navigation is usually overlooked, or you'll see a guy just carrying a GPS, and that's fine until it's not, and it, you know, doesn't work, or the batteries crap out in it, or whatever. Another really useful thing that weighs nothing, I mean, it's just so light, and they're only like $5, is just a mosquito head net. There's so many uses for that. If you get in an area like a swamp or Alaska that's just inundated with mosquitoes that are big enough to stand flat-footed and box a turkey, you're gonna want this. You're gonna want something over your face to keep those bugs off of you. Also, you can make a hoop. This thing's stretchy. You can turn that into a dip net for catching bait or other small things in the water that you want to eat. Another cold weather application is to fill this thing up with snow, suspend it from a stick, put it next to your fire, and have your pot under here. And as the snow melts, it will drip into your pot to give you some drinking water. So there's really tons and tons of uses for that. And they're so cheap and so light, there's no reason not to have one.
Yeah, they weigh absolutely nothing.
So I just made that SOP, in every bag that I have, a head net goes in.
Yeah.
Because there's times where I run out of bug dope, or for whatever reason you don't have it, and you can at least cover your face. Because if you ever try to sleep and they're crawling in your nose, in your ear, and under your eyelid, it's miserable. But there's so many other uses for it too. And I would say signaling is also really overlooked in a lot of the rucks that I've gone through, people's bags. I'll go through them and there's no signal capability in there. You know, I always have signal mirrors and other stuff on me, but in a ruck, I generally like to have some type of a signal panel, something that's brightly colored, because I tend to gravitate toward earth tone colors, and suddenly now I want to be seen, I need something like that. Yeah. I live in Appalachian Mountains, so we have a double canopy forest where we have laurels and rhododendrons and things like that that are really, really dense. And then above that, you've got the tall deciduous trees. So you have two separate canopies. So even if you're on the ground and you had a light, the light won't penetrate all that vegetation at certain times of the year. They're not gonna see the signal panel. And some people say, oh, just build a signal fire. But the problem with that is, you've heard the term smoky mountains. So you make a signal fire, your smoke is going to be hard to differentiate between all that other stuff and haze that's out there. Whereas an orange smoke grenade, it's pretty clear that a man did that, and he's probably in distress. Yeah. So I tend to like colors like orange, purple, things that are not going to be mistaken with smoke. It's really light. A lot of people say, oh, that's too bulky. Is that too heavy?
No, it's not bad.
What is it, 240 grams, it says, whatever that is. Lightweight.
Yeah.
I always carry one. They're just in there. You know, I'm not worried about the extra ounces of weight. And these are buoyant. These are the type that you find, it's called an MK8 life smoke. It's the type that you would find in
life rafts?
In a life raft situation on a ship. So they're made to be used in maritime operations. They're made to be buoyant. So if you are in a situation where this thing goes over into the water, it's still gonna float and it's still gonna get the smoke up. So I like those. You can find them, generally they go through and they will cycle these things out, and after a certain time when it hits its expiration date, you can find them at different shows. They'll sell them for $5. I've used them, you know, 7, 8, 10 years out of date. They still function just fine. So why not have that? I like to have an audible means signal whistle. Very cheap, $2, $3, $4, $5. There again, if you're in a thick type situation, jungle, canopy, they might not be able to see you, but at least they can hear you.
Yeah.
The other thing I like to have is a pair of gloves, and not just any gloves. You see some people throw in some little kind of wool gloves or whatever.
Isotoners or something.
I want gloves that have a leather palm to them, something that's really going to give me an extra set of skin.
Yeah.
The most common injuries that you see out in the woods that I've seen have been injuries usually to the hands. You know, cuts, burns, scrapes, abrasions, blisters, because now you're working with your hands a lot, you're working around fire and all of that. Secondly, the wounds and injuries that you see are usually gastrointestinal in nature. You're eating different food, you're drinking different water, hygiene's not what it was. So carrying something like Imodium AD is a really good idea.
Yeah.
And binos, I like them. The older I get, the more I like them.
Yeah.
Used to, I could look across there and I can see what that is. Now I'm like, oh, I'm not sure.
And binos, I mean, not even talking about like personal issues you might be having with people or anything like that. Binos are just a great way to determine the best route. You know, you could get up in a high point and say, I don't really feel like going down that valley. We can take this ridge and go around, and we don't have to avoid, you know, going down and back up. Or you might be able to see that it's unpassable on the other side of that valley, so there's no need to go all the way down just to figure out you can't go back up. So binos are a great way that can also save you time as far as traveling as well. Like Alan said with his signal stuff, you know, you can make small kits like this, like I did. And I mean, this little kit right here, you know, it's the size of, say, an Altoid tin or so. You know, I have an IR marker. Open it up, I got a signal mirror, I got a Solus panel, which is reflective with flashlights. Open this one up, I got a signal whistle, a signal panel, and an IR marker as well. And then tucked in behind there, I got some little glow sticks. So pretty much anytime, day or night, you know, this little kit here has an ability to signal somebody, no matter where they are, helicopter, on the ground, you name it, audio-wise, with a whistle, through signaling. So, you know, signal kits don't have to be big, huge, cumbersome things. This one's Velcro, so you can, you know, I slap it on my bag, but I can also hook it if I want to keep it on me. So signal kits, absolutely. Binos, absolutely. Extra socks.
Yep.
You know, socks are one of those things that I think a lot of people miss out on, and in their bags. And, you know, I like to change my socks usually once a day if I'm hiking a ton. And what I do is I have a S-beaner on the back of my bag. I'll take the wet ones off. I'll hang them on the back of my bag or through the shock cord, let them dry out, put a fresh pair on. The drier you can keep your feet, the further you're going to be able to go, because your feet aren't going to start to get soft and start to, you know, cause tons of blisters. So, you know, extra socks, absolutely. External batteries. You know, we live in an electronics world now, and you know, GPSs, cell phones, a lot of radios, flashlights, you know, you name it, run off batteries. So having a larger, this is an Anchor 28,000 milliamp battery, so it can charge everything that I have in my kit. Is pretty much rechargeable nowadays. I can still run regular batteries in it, but I mean, my headlamp, my radio, GPS, cell phone. I mean, you can even get cigarette lighters now, the little arc ones that work really good, that are rechargeable. So having an extra battery, I think, is something that a lot of people forget about. And then dry sacks.
Yep.
Dry sacks are a fantastic thing to, number one, keep things dry, but, you know, as Alan was talking about, it can also add buoyancy to your bag, because you can fill it up with air. You know, I use a dry sack for a lot of things. All my clothes go in dry sacks. This is my fire kit. I keep it in a dry sack. My fire kit's actually within this bag, but what I use this bag for is, you know, as we're walking around, you know, if I find tinder, like we found some white pine yesterday, scraped it off. If it's nice and dry, you can
poplar.
That's what it is, yeah. You know, I can put it in here. There you go, seal it up. I know it's gonna stay nice and dry. while we're hiking until we get to camp. So it might rain in an hour and I don't have to worry about trying to find dry tinder at that point. So that's why I use a little bit larger of a bag, because I can keep shoving things in there, keep it nice and dry. Anything else you want to?
That's kind of my rule. Anything that can go in a dry bag does go in a dry bag. Like I've got my clothes are in one, my sleep system's in another, my food is in yet another. Water kit's in a dry bag, fire kit's in a dry bag. And also color coded. Don't get all green dry bags and you don't know which is which. You know, I've got obviously my fire kit's in a red one, my water kit's in a blue one, clothes are in a yellow one. So that's a good way to color code and organize things too.
So guys, those are just a couple items, you know, that we see every now and then just don't find their ways into bags. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, be safe.